It is the coolest thing ever. It's so touching to hand somebody something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a white envelope. They have no flipping clue who you are. They have no flipping clue what's in it. And they look you dead in the eyes and they literally go, thank you so much.
Hey, welcome to this special edition of the Chalene Show. I have my special guest and my special husband with me here today. Because
she has more than one husband, so she has to tell you that I'm the special one because she has multiple husbands.
Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
There is no such thing as multiple husbands. There's like multiple wives. How come there's no like?
We don't know that. There's probably some woman out there
who has multiple husbands.
Well, we watched Mother God last night. She had multiple father gods.
I need to do like a whole breakdown of that.
That was creepy.
You're right, of that documentary. Okay. But we're here today to share with you one of our favorite holiday traditions that has become something many of you have taken part in. It's something we freaking love to do. And we're trying to do it early enough in the holiday season that you can partake in it too, regardless of what it is, your religion or your faith. Like you could do this any time of the year, but we're sharing it because it's something that we do around the holidays. Oh, by the way, I should probably introduce my favorite husband. This is my favorite husband, Bret.
Favorite special.
How long have we been married?
28 years.
Why do you get so mad when I asked that?
No, I said 28 years.
Okay, you're excited?
Yeah, excited. We're coming up on 29.
I know, that's crazy.
A few months away.
Yes. You haven't been on the podcast enough recently.
I have not been on the video podcast in a long time.
Yeah. Bret Johnson's got a different look going on here. Well, first of all, he's down like more than, 10 or... How many pounds have you lost?
Since last 6 months, probably about 18.
It's crazy. And he's got a beard and neck tattoos. Show him your neck tattoos. There's one.
And there's the other side.
And
for these ones are for my special wife.
His special wife. I requested them. If you don't like tattoos, mind your business. We didn't ask you. If you don't like neck tattoos, what's wrong with you? Mind your business. It's not up to you. I like them, and so he got them for me. I digress. All right, so let's talk about our tradition. Something we call 10 envelopes. It's not like I created this. I heard somebody else was doing it.
Correct.
And I wish I could give credit to the original person that I heard doing this. I've looked. I cannot, like so many people do it now. I don't know who originated it, but it's something we heard about, and because of that we're like, we should do this with our kids.
And we started it a long time ago, so I don't even know if like Instagram, like social was even around. It's been 12 or 13 years, so probably it was, but not the way it is now.
No,
not the way it is now.
So what we're going to do in this episode, we're going to share what it is, how to do it, like literally how to do it, why we do it, why you might also want to share it, and why some people are uncomfortable sharing it, and that's totally up to you. And we're also going to share with you how you can make it your own. Like instead of doing a cookie exchange this year with your girlfriends or like an ornament exchange, boring. This is such a cool thing. It's one of our freaking favorite things.
And this year's going to be our most difficult one to coordinate because we have our children who participate with us are married and they live in different cities and states.
Yes.
So we're coordinating it all, but we will make it happen.
Okay.
Sure.
So in the first years that we did, we'll describe what it is, but in the first years that we did it, we didn't talk about it because it was something we were just trying to teach our kids. I had, wanted to get our kids like to maybe volunteer on Christmas Day and then I'd heard, well, so many people volunteer on the holidays. That's really not the thing to do. Then I heard about someone talking about this particular challenge. I'm like, oh, we could do this.
Yeah.
So it's called 10 envelopes. And what we do as a family anyways, is each person writes out a letter to a stranger. So it's nice to be able to do this when your kids are old enough to be able to write. I mean.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. And I'm trying to think back. They obviously could write when we started this, but it was a struggle.
To write?
Well, I'm sure their cards over the years have gotten progressively better and a little bit more articulate.
Yeah. So we started as a family. So now each one of our families does 10 envelopes. So it's like 5-5, and then Sierra and Roma is 5-5, and then Brock and Taylor is 5-5. So now it's a lot of envelopes.
Yeah.
But it's something we freaking love doing as a family. So we all get together And I usually will pick up like note cards. You could do it on plain stationery envelope. I mean, any kind of paper, it doesn't matter. And basically, you just want to write a note to a stranger that acknowledges them, makes them feel good, and you explain to them.
Explain to them a little bit why you just handed them this card. Like,
Meaning, so if you see a single mom, or if you see
yes.
a military person, or yeah, I do that too. But this year, I'm not going to do that because then sometimes it makes it harder to give the card away. Like sometimes I see someone, I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have one that's specifically for like whatever that person.
That's true.
So, but I do like to write in my card. I just want whoever receives this card to feel like the universe connected us. You are special. I was drawn to you and I don't know why. And you are loved, you are blessed. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you screenshots of some of the actual letters I've written. I don't think
you have screenshots of them? Oh, so you took them before you handed them out.
Yeah. Because good. I don't know about everybody else, but I need a sample. I need an example. I need someone to go like, hey, this is what I wrote, and then you can make it your own. So I'm going to share with you a couple of different versions of what I've written. And mine are always I'm sure you guys are not going to be shocked to hear this. Mine are like, I write a book sometimes.
Yeah. We now go to dinner with the kids, and last year we were at dinner and we were all writing our letters, and we picked like a restaurant, like we could spread out, like all of a sudden, like the waitress is coming over and like we got papers and envelopes all over the place. And we're like almost done with our main course, and like Chalene's still sitting over there writing. And
I'm on letter 2.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
But first, I want to address the criticism, because there's always going to be somebody. Always. Somebody who's like, if you were really a generous person, if you were really godlike, if you were really a Christian, you wouldn't broadcast it. You wouldn't tell people that you're doing this. And I know the scripture from which you are casting your judgment. And I just need to say this. Okay, that scripture says, when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. So, and this is a piece of a longer scripture, but if you really understand the sentiment of it, the Bible really wants you to consider the motivation. So if in fact your motivation is to be honored by others, well then, yeah, like maybe that's not the best motivation, but that's never been our motivation. Our motivation was simply to do what happened to us. Like I heard about somebody else doing this and it inspired us to do it in our family. And now every single year in our Pod Squad group, this is like my favorite thing, you guys, when you do this, like I'm going to share some of the screenshots of the families who've posted on Facebook into our Pod Squad group how they do this with their families, and or their girlfriends group or whatever. And it so inspires me. Like I freaking love it. And so that's why we're sharing this, and it's why I hope that you're called to share it in social media. But please know this: there's going to be some sassy Susie out there who's like, well, if you were really generous, you wouldn't have to post about it on social media. Well, okay, fine.
Yeah. So for all of those people out there, there's going to be 100 people that are it's going to strike a chord in them.
Yep.
And those are the people we're trying to reach. We're not trying to reach the people that are they would be upset if you gave everybody in the world $1 billion. They'd find a way to be upset.
Yeah.
So we're going to concentrate on the people that are like, that's a freaking good idea. That's a good way to teach our kids values. And it's a good way to like share some holiday spirit and be grateful and be gracious for what you have.
Yeah. But I'm going to be completely transparent and tell you the other motivation behind why we do it. Not why we share it, but like one of the motivations behind why we do it is it feels really good. And sometimes the holiday season is so frantic and chaotic, and it feels so like, I don't know, you can almost get resentful. Like, okay, now we've got to get stuff for your nieces and nephews, and now we've got to do this, and we got to do that. We got to get shipped off by this date. And you can really lose sight of why there is a season, the reason for the season, as they say. And again, I don't know your faith, and even if that's of significance to you, but I hope that kindness is something that you enjoy. And this is the greatest gift you will give yourself ever. It's so cool. And part of the reason is because you're actually going to hand your letter to someone. You're going to see their face. And it is so freaking cool.
It is the coolest thing ever. It's so touching to hand somebody something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a white envelope. They have no flipping clue who you are. They have no flipping clue what's in it. And they look you dead in the eyes and they literally go, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
It's like, it could be like, they don't even know what it is.
Which, by the way, we haven't explained. So we write a letter to a stranger acknowledging them and saying, whatever you want to say. And I'll share my example in a moment. And then we have chosen to also put a gift in there, a cash gift in there. And I know some of you are going to ask, like, how much? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Because the amount that we've given has significantly increased over the years. Let's just say that. But in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of money. So it was a stretch to give what we did give. And you don't have to give anything. You can give a $5 Starbucks card if you want. You can have you'll see some of the messages of people in our pod squad. They have their kids give whatever their kids decide they want to give, like a couple of dollars. I mean, it's the cutest thing. But also, if you, like, literally, how touched would you be if a stranger just walked up and handed you a letter acknowledging that you mattered?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that make you cry? Wouldn't that just touch you? There's been so many stories, but
we're not doing that right now. Stories are later, right?
Yeah. I mean, because it can get emotional. But anyways, so we all write the letters, and then we put them in envelopes, and we put cash in. Like I said, you don't have to do that. And then what we do is we go out and we try to find a location. We usually decide in advance, like
a location where we're going to see massive amounts of people.
Or not.
Or
Sometimes
not.
it's just special.
Sometimes it's special. Sometimes
Like the
it's
animal
very,
hospital?
Very specific. Firehouses, the elderly, like the people that take care of the elderly, hospitals.
Yeah. So decide for yourself, like, who are some people that you, like, we also love doing it. One of our favorite things to do is to do it on Christmas Eve. So I don't know if that'll work for your family, but we love doing it on Christmas Eve, like to think about the people who are away from their families. Like, we love to go to the NIC unit. We like going to the firehouses. I mean, again, to go to a
animal shelter on
we've
Christmas
done that,
Eve,
yeah, or to a place where they're caring for others.
Yeah.
And that's been super rewarding. Or even, like, remember the year we went to Denny's?
Yes.
And just gave it to, like, the chef and the waitress?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're working there on Christmas Eve. It was just amazing. It's just so cool. And it's fun if you decide in advance, because we have also done the mistake of getting in the car as a family and going, we'll find a place, and then just driving around and getting in arguments and fighting.
And going through like drive-throughs because we're all starving because we've been like there's been some funny experiences for sure.
Like, so the most important thing, you just do some planning in advance, like figure out like where we're gonna go first, where we're gonna go second.
Write the cards, and then figure out
where you're gonna
the
go.
logistics.
Yeah,
it's important.
Yeah. Okay. So then, if you're operating as a family, like let's say for example, you're going into a
Walmart.
Sure, a Walmart. Okay. Well, then what we would do is we would kind of like divide and conquer, because we don't want to be like walking as a family and like, I don't know. So what we would do is we'd all kind of like split up, and then like Brock would say like, okay, I found someone. And then we would all like, and we would say, what do they look like? And when we say we found someone, this is not about like someone's socioeconomic status. It's just someone that looks like fun to surprise them.
You see them there, and you're just, it touches your heart. You've seen people in your life that have been walking around, and you're like, oh, that person seems like a really nice person, or just whatever. It's just somebody that strikes a chord. Somebody that strikes a chord for Chalene might not strike a chord for me. It's just what it is.
There's been times where I'm like, oh, I want to give it to this family. And then I saw the dad be like really rude to his wife. And I was like, I'm not giving him an envelope. I might give her an envelope, but I'm not giving him one. There's been, so it's we're a little judgy. I mean, you get to be, it's like you're just finding somebody you have a connection with. Yeah. And because of the way we write the letters, and that's why I think it's important to see an example, you never feel like when you're handing it to the person, they're going to feel like, what do I look like? I need charity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that was what I was really uncomfortable about the first couple of years. Like, I don't want to hand this to someone and them go, I don't need this.
They don't even know what's inside of it.
True.
They really don't.
Yeah.
And the genuine thank you that you get with eye contact is worth everything.
Yeah. So we divide and conquer, right? So Brock will say like, oh, I found somebody. And then the reason why we all like split up is because he hands her the envelope, let's say a mom or whatever, and then he's like, Merry Christmas, and he just hands her an envelope, and then you walk away. And 9 times out of 10, they don't open it. They're just like, oh my gosh, thank you.
They might put it in their purse because they're dealing with 3 children right there or whatever. But a lot of times they don't.
Right.
And they open the card.
And so that's why we're like all hiding out, because we're like, we want to see like the reaction. Because I mean, the reactions, and not everyone's going to get a reaction. Like I said, a lot of people are just going to put it in their purse or and just say thank you. And we've had even people say like, oh no, that's okay. They think it's like a soliciting thing. But when you do get a reaction, well, so fun. Just see someone like cry, or just someone like one time this lady, she opened it up and then she immediately FaceTimed her own mom, and she's like, you're not gonna believe this. This kid just walked up to me, and it was just like, it was exactly what they needed. It was like exactly the amount of cash they needed for something. So it's fun to see them open it. In some instances, you won't be able to do that,
Some of them, they put it in their purse, like I said, or they just kind of put it away. Some of them, you get to see the reactions, and
they'll chase you down.
And we've also had people chase us down. We had one man was there with his son, and I was the one that gave him the card, and he opened it, and he was like in shock. And he read what was going on, and I put a lot of times in there is like, if this could help somebody else,
sure,
like in your family, or if somebody else in need, you might want to be able to pass this forward or whatever. He found us, and he was literally shopping there because somebody in their family had just passed, and they were getting
his brother's child had passed.
Yeah, and they were getting like gifts for the other kids, and it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
and then
we're
all like, we're crying in the car. We love it though.
There hasn't been a year that we haven't cried.
There's so many times where it's like, I mean, there's no other explanation other than like God had to have intervened, because in those instances, like, we don't want recognition. We really try to like, hand it and then like run. But there's been times where people will like, will chase you and go like, you have how did you know what we were going through? It's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's just a wonderful way to truly experience the blessing of being generous and abundance, because often you don't know if that person is going to use it to help someone else, and it's a little bit uncomfortable, to do this. So let's talk about that. Especially for our kids, when they were little, they did not want to do this.
Yes.
They thought it was like a punishment. Like, because they'd have to go hand an envelope to an adult, and they're like,
yeah, that was hard.
They're like, I don't want to do it. And we're like, no, you you're just handing them a nice card.
Just, say happy holidays or Merry Christmas, and then just turn around and walk away.
We would have them practice that. Like, just say Merry Christmas to people at first, and then, just keep saying Merry Christmas to people. And if somebody really smiles nicely at you, then you can hand them the card. So I think this kind of detail is important, because I know I had this grandiose idea of what this would be like. And then when we set out to do it the first time, I was so nervous and so uncomfortable. And then that's my recommendation. Just start walking past people and saying, Merry Christmas, how are you? Because we don't even normally do that during the holidays. And then you'll get a connection with somebody, and then just hand them an envelope.
Yeah. It definitely, I mean, now that we've done it, we're like for 14, 15 years, it's way more, it's easier. But that first year or so, it's gonna be a little bit awkward, especially if you have little children.
I would say that you need to plan on this being an entire night's activities. This is not something that can be done quickly, because first you're writing the letters. That takes a while. Everyone's like,
My suggestion is like dinner at home, order some pizza out, whatever, get your cards. So you have like all your stationery, you have everything ready to go, so you can take care of all the envelopes. So when you jump in the car and you go to the places that you're going to go to that you've already logistically mapped out, like you got the cards, you're ready to go. If you don't do all those things, it can last a long time.
Do you remember the year that my ADHD really caused quite a snafu?
Yeah, you forgetting everything. You forgot. Didn't you write all the cards, and then you forgot to give them You put the money
I forgot
in
to
it?
put the money in them.
Yeah, Shalene had like all the money still in her pocket. And didn't you already hand out some of the cards? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like four of the cards, not just in one location, like at the retirement center,
Yeah.
at Carl's Jr., at a Target. So like all these places we had handed out cards, and I had this connection with the person. And then the card reads like, if you can use this gift to help you or a family member,
Like,
blah, blah,
what
blah.
gift?
And they're like, what gift, right? So then Brett's like, and everyone now everyone's tired. It's at the end of the night. And I'm like, oh no, you guys, I forgot to put my money in the envelopes. And they're all like, Mom, like it's such an 80. They're like, no one's surprised. And everyone's like, give it all to the next person. I'm like, no, we're going back to each one of those spots. I was meant to take care of those people. And remember, the Target was like a big scene.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, can I see that lady that worked there? And then everyone thought like I was a crazy stalker or something. They're like, who are you and why do you need to see her again? Oh, geez. So yeah.
She was like on her lunch.
So please, make sure your ADHD medication is in check before you start on this.
I make sure everybody's put their money in their card now.
So writing out the envelopes, do that at dinner, and then, spend, again, if you're pretty good, if you go to a really well-populated place, you can divide and conquer, but it's not as fast as you might think.
Correct. Because you're not going to have a connection with everybody.
Yeah.
And, depending on how many envelopes that you have, we call it 10 envelopes, but obviously Chalene has already talked about how, Brock and his spouse, there's 10. Chalene and I are 10. Roman and Sierra are 10.
I think that's 30.
That's 30. So there's 30 envelopes, so, I mean, it takes a long time. I mean,
Yeah. I would love to hear from one of you who decides to replace the cookie exchange or the ornament exchange and talk your friends group or whatever into doing this instead. I want to hear from someone who's done that. I'd love to hear like how you make this your own tradition. Like I said, some families have done it and they just do the letter writing, which I think is amazing, or they have their kids put their own money into the envelopes. I think that's amazing.
Getting this out early.
Yeah.
Like we're doing, we talked about this last night on our walk. Let's get this out early, because what we've done in the past is we've kind of like shown people like what we're doing that night. And it could be like the night before Christmas or Christmas Eve. And people are like, oh my God, I want to do that next year. I'm going to do that next year. It's such a great idea. But now we're going to do it so early that's going to give people time to prepare.
I hope so.
I hope so.
One of the things I would also like to say is that there's been plenty of times where we didn't give them all out the first night. Like, if it starts getting to the point where you're like, okay, now everyone's fighting.
Yeah, the Christmas spirit,
And
the
you're
holiday
forcing
spirit
it.
is gone.
Yeah, then we've just hung on to them. We're like, okay, let's do a couple tonight. Let's do a couple tomorrow. And that was really fun too.
Yes.
What?
Are we going to tell them about last year?
What?
We got to tell them the story about the airlines.
Oh yeah, tell them.
Okay, so there's only been one time in the history of the Johnson envelope exchange that one person got 2 envelopes.
Yeah, this is wild.
So Chalene, you want me to tell the story?
Sure.
Okay, so Chalene.
But I'll interrupt you.
I feel free because, okay. So
It's my
we are
role.
traveling from New York to Michigan to go be with her family for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And Chalene was getting some surgical stuff revised, and she had some complications. And we're about to land in Michigan, and her doctor says,
Well, I started getting sicker and sicker on the plane. And so we had Wi-Fi, and I was texting with my surgeon, Dr. Hidalgo, and we're on a flight, like you said, from New York to Michigan. And he said, you need to come back immediately. I'm like, I'm landing in Michigan right now to see my family. It's Christmas. He's like, we're not messing around. Come back to New York.
so I start frantically because she's texting with him. I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm trying to get her on the Delta because the same plane that is landing is going right back to New York. Within like 15 or 20 minutes, they're going to deplane, reload the plane, and go. So I'm trying to we land, and I don't know if the confirmation goes through. So we go out to the front, and I start haggling with customer service and the person, at the front, and they're being zero help. Mm-hmm. And there's a stewardess who already has kind of like overheard what's going on, and she's like, we're going to get you on this plane.
Not a stewardess, a gate person.
Gate person, yeah. And she's like, we're going to get you on this plane. We just need the confirmation. So I'm frantically trying to get through the confirmation,
And we've got like 6 minutes left, and the doors are like about to close. And there was one lady who was really, you can talk about her? Really rude.
She was horrible. She's like, if you got 3 minutes, if it doesn't come through in 3 minutes,
she's like, I'm sorry.
I'm going to just lock the door.
I'm sorry if you don't have. It's just like you could just tell.
She was rooting against us.
She did not want me to get on that flight.
And
I'm crying, and I'm not. Well, yes, you guys know I am a crier, but like I don't cry
Let's
when
call the other girl Carol.
Okay.
Okay, so Carol
is Carol the nice one or the rude one?
Carol is rooting for us.
Okay.
She is rooting for us hard. She's like, you're going to get it through it. And my wife is in pain.
Yeah.
And I got to get her on this flight because she's going immediately back to Dr. Hidalgo's office. They have like an IV set up for her because she's got like an infection going on. And I'm like, okay, so long story short, all of a sudden the confirmation, I'm like, boom. And there's literally like 30 seconds. And the girl grabs Chalene. She didn't even I can't even say goodbye to my wife. She's getting on another plane. I said, I will get to New York tonight somehow. So she escorts Chalene. She takes her bag down there. She gets her seat in the seat.
She even knew that like I couldn't even hold my bag because I was in so much pain. So she took the bag from me and she's like, it's okay, honey. We're going to get you on the plane. We're going to get you on the plane. Yeah. You okay? You okay?
Okay. And we have already done the Christmas cards with our kids. So we had some extra ones.
So I have one extra and Bret had one extra. And I, like, while this is happening, I reach into my purse and I'm like, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for your help.
And it was a big one. So
yeah, I saved the last one. So and I was like, this was so meant to be. So I gave her that card and I get on the flight and now I'm flying back to New York.
So, and then I am trying to because I couldn't get on that flight. So now I have to go get all the bags and then rebook myself. And then go back through security and stuff like that. So I do all that, and I am flipping starving at this point. So I go to
You're always starving.
I go to Starbucks, and I get a couple of like egg sandwiches or whatever. And all of a sudden, I see Carol. Carol comes to the Starbucks.
You're in a different,
different area. Yeah.
No, what's it called? A different terminal.
Terminal, because you were flying Delta and I was flying like American or something like that. So she goes to Starbucks. And I see Carol. And now I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, she's the one that got my wife. I don't know any of this happened. Like Chalene gave her a card, got her on the plane, any of that stuff. So I pull out my card and listen to what an amazing person Carol is. So I go up and I hand Carol another envelope and she looks at me and she knows. And she's like, what's with these people? Right? So I hand her an envelope. But do you know what Carol was doing? Carol wasn't there getting an egg sandwich or a coffee for herself. She was getting individual gift cards for all the rest of the people on her little shift crew.
From the gift that I had given to her, she was already paying it forward.
Yes.
Does that not give you chills? So that's why you need to do this, because generosity is contagious. Kindness is contagious. And it's a gift that you give yourself. It's a gift that you'll give your family. And we really want you to do this and we want to hear about it. So use the hashtag. What's the hashtag that we use? 10 envelopes.
10
yeah.
envelopes.
It's hashtag the number 10 envelopes. Oh. And if you are a member of our pod squad, I would love it if you posted some of your, if you're doing this, just, I'll share with you some screenshots of what people have done in the past. And without further ado, here are examples. You can take a screenshot of the letters that I've written in the past. And again, you can write something shorter. You can write your own thing. You can type it out, whatever you want. But we're just really blessed.
You can copy and paste if you want.
We're really blessed that you would share this tradition that our family loves with yours or your friends and family. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to The Chalene Show. Thanks for supporting the Johnsons. We love you. We mean it. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.